Welcome, 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 dream chasers, LA style industry leaders, and all the purpose-driven leaders from around the world that are tapping into this live webinar. This is being delivered live to you guys on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, and you guys will also find it live on Facebook platforms. Super honored today. I'm Joseph Trujillo. I'm the host of this masterclass, and I'll tell you guys why I'm excited. Right, this isn't just your standard webinar, right? What you guys are going to find is by the conclusion of this call, by the end of this masterclass, it'll be a moment of alignment for you, right? So our purpose today is to deliver you some clarity, especially where it meets your calling. And whether you're a real estate agent at Dream Chasers, EXP, any company, a serial entrepreneur, or somebody that's just searching for a next level in your life, maybe some definition, you're in the right room today. You're in the right webinar. So hang tight, buckle that seat, get ready for some fire. Because today we're going to dive into one of the most powerful drivers of success, and that's having some clarity and definition in your purpose. So when you know where you're headed and why you're headed there, man, there's so much power in that, right? Your spirit changes, your energy changes, your life changes, your business, and more importantly, you'll find yourself just being on the right path. So today, our guest speaker, this gentleman here, isn't just going to guide us on this path, right? We've brought somebody here today that is uniquely anointed and exceptionally qualified to deliver this message. So let me introduce you to our speaker. Our speaker, Mr. Torrian Scott, is a seasoned leader with over 25 years of experience in guiding and inspiring others to gain clarity of purpose and execute their vision. As an award-winning entrepreneur, business owner, author, speaker, and executive coach, he's left an indelible mark in audiences ranging from intimate gatherings to grand arenas like this one we're on today. Torrian's journey has led him to empower leaders from across various sectors, including professionals, sports coaches, government leaders, and agencies, Fortune 500 CEOs, entrepreneurs, and executives alike. He connects with diverse audiences and delivers transformative insights with clarity, passion. Torrian's commitment to empowering others shines through whether he's writing, providing one-on-ones, coaching sessions, facilitating small group discussions, or captivating thousands with his inspiring words. He's also the founder of two other organizations designed to empower leaders: Masters in the Marketplace and Lions Leading Lions, which is a men's empowerment network dedicated to equipping men to restore the roar in their life, love, leadership, and legacy. So keep an eye out for my brother Torrian's newest book, Focus on Your Five, the ultimate guide to personal and professional growth and transformation, slated for release in fall of 2025. I can't wait for that to drop. So without further ado, let me introduce my brother, Torrian Scott, to the call. Come on down, my brother.
All right, my man. Thank you so very much for having me on. Joseph, what's going on, my man?
Oh, man, I got the chills, brother, reading your bio, man. As I was like, whew, we're in for a treat today.
Oh, man, I'm so honored to be with you guys today. And all of the dream chasers that are on, I appreciate you for joining in today. It's going to be awesome.
It is. It is going to be tight-knit. All the industry leaders at LA Style Magazine, we have a few different industry sectors that are plugging into this call. And of course, our social media family. I love you guys. Keep coming back, tuning in. I'm going to encourage you guys a little house rules. This is a live webinar, team. So if you guys have all those positive comments, annotations, anything you want to deliver to the community, put them in the comment chats across the board. They will post live. At the end of this call, we'll have an opportunity to ask our Mr. Scott some questions so we can take a deeper dive into creating some clarity. But before we dive off into the main session, I love to just tee it up a little bit, right?
Yes.
Just to tee it up and ask a couple quick questions just to activate our thinking processes, get this mind flowing, and get the brain housing group on point.
Yes.
Yes. So my brother, when you told me about the subject title of today's master class, it had me thinking, and I wanted to just to kind of open up with this is why do you think that so many people struggle with clarity, even in places of success?
Man, that's such an amazing question. I think that people struggle with clarity is because, when you first start to do something, you get excited, but then you hit the minutia, right? You hit all of the stuff, you hit all of the life stuff, you hit all of the leadership stuff, you hit all the things, and then you get into this place of what I like to call you're just trying to put out fires, and you forget about the purpose that you first started on. I always tell this story that when I first came here to California, man, I'm from Texas, okay? So I'm not used to mountains or anything of that nature, but one of my mentors lives at the top of Idlewild. And he was inviting me up one day, and I was driving. I was thinking that, okay, we're just going to get there in about 45 minutes. Little did I know that it was about 45 minutes to an hour up a mountain. And I was driving crazy slow. I was like, I wasn't used to it, but I hit this patch of fog, Joseph, and I began to go real slow. People were going around me, giving me half of a peace sign, and all of that different stuff. But I was slowing down because, number one, I wasn't familiar with where I was. Number two, I really couldn't see. But then what happened is, as I kept on going, even though I was going slow, what happened is that I got to a patch of clarity. I mean, and you've all have been in that situation where you're going through the clouds and then you get above the clouds and it's beautiful. It's blue skies. And it got me to thinking about something that one of my mentors told me. He said, when there's clarity of vision, there's an acceleration towards the goal. So when I started going through this fog and I got to that patch of clarity, I began to accelerate again. And I think that most people find themselves in the fog. A lot of leaders find themselves in the fog and they're like, I'm unfamiliar, I can't see. So I'm just going to sometimes just stop and wait till it passes, but you can't stop. You got to keep going.
Oh man, that is so good, bro. I love that analogy, man. I love that analogy. When you see the fog, yeah, most people stop. That's why activation of faith, right?
Mm-hmm.
An activation of faith to take that next step in that darkness is so important to give you the confidence that you need. I love that.
Yes, sir.
One other quick pre question as well. So purpose, right? We hear it. It's so frequently used, especially in entrepreneurial spaces.
Mm-hmm.
I would love for you to clarify your personal definition of what purpose is.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Purpose is the reason for existence, the beginning. It's the origin story of why. For me, purpose is so, and I'm going to talk about how to discover purpose, but it took me some years, man, just to discover why I was here, because I found that there's a difference between purpose and destiny. See, your purpose is why you exist, and your destiny is where you exist. So I go over that extensively in my new book called Running After, well, not new book, but book called Running After Destiny. And purpose is really your reason why. Why did you start? Your beginning, your origin story, that thing that pulls on your heart for you to actually launch forward. So that's what purpose means to me.
Wow. I'm excited, brother. I know in this class right here that we're about to have you take the stage and run away with it is going to be purposeful, right? Purposeful, and
Yes,
create some alignment for us. So we're looking forward, brother. I'm going to step behind the scenes. The floor is yours, and we're excited, my brother.
All right, man. I'm excited. All right, everybody. Well, I'm excited to get into this with you. Today, we are going to learn about mastering the keys of purposeful leadership. So here's one of the things you got to know about me. I love giving information, and I would love for you to take some notes. So I know that there's a lot of people on here that maybe you're driving to work, maybe you're in the office or whatnot, but I want you to really write down the notes. Now, here's the thing. I don't want you to write down everything that I say, okay? Because it's going to be pretty hard. And here's the thing. It's recorded, so you don't have to necessarily write down everything. But what I do want to encourage you to do is write down the things that explode on the inside of you, okay? So if you're ready, put down in the comments, I'm ready, whether you're watching on IG, whether you're watching on Facebook, whether you're watching on YouTube, wherever you're watching. I can't see any of the comments, so, but I want you to put down ready in the comments. Okay, there they go. I'm ready. I see I'm ready over here. This is exciting. Okay, so here we go. Mastering the art of purposeful leadership. If we could put that, oh, we got it on there. Come on, team. I love it. So mastering the art of purposeful leadership is so important because If you don't know why you are in leadership, you're going to fail. If you don't know why you're in your industry, if you don't know why you do what you do, you are going to fail. Well, before we get into everything, I want to introduce you to my family. I always bring my family everywhere they go, everywhere I go, whether I'm speaking in Hawaii, whether I'm speaking in different places, I am bringing my family with me. My first beautiful, amazing Jamaican sensation of a wife, that is my beautiful wife, Nova Marie. We just celebrated 17 years, y'all, 17 years of marriage. And she is from the beautiful, amazing country of Jamaica. And she's an artist out there. She has a brand new album that just came out called Out of the Ashes. You got to go get it. It's streaming everywhere. But here I am from the amazing country of Texas. I always like to say that because we do have our own ways down in Texas. And here's our little Jamericans. And we love these kiddos, my son Josiah, my daughter Joy, and my little son Joseph. They keep our lives interesting. I need to update this picture because they are absolutely way bigger than that now. But I wanted to give you a little bit of my story where it all pretty much started. It started here. My mom had me when she was only 19 years old, and my mom actually sacrificed a lot in order for us to get to a place of being successful, if you will, by certain particular definitions. But she had me when she was 19 years old. And I remember my mom working at Sonic and working at Kroger and then starting to fold clothes at this new store in town called Academy Sports and Outdoors. And she was only earning $4.10 an actual hour. And she began to develop herself. She began to say, you know what, $4.10, of course, you know, that was the minimum wage. She said, but I'm not a minimum wage type of lady. All right. I need to improve myself. She began to personally develop and began to really put purpose behind what she did rather than just existing in a store. She said, I'm going to move forward. So she put her sights on being a cashier. And you know what she did? She developed herself to become a cashier. And she said, you know what? There's another level, cashier supervisor. She did the same thing. She developed herself, got purposeful around her personal development. And she said, you know what? I'm going to be a cashier supervisor. She began a cashier supervisor. Then she became a manager. And now she is actually celebrated at 36 years. 36 years, everybody, on the corporate side of the actual business. And she's been in that position as an executive in the IT department. And it is amazing. Well, why do I share that with you? Is because my mom taught me something so valuable. She taught me that if I wanted to do something, I had to be purposeful about it. I could not just allow things to happen to me. I needed to be purposeful to make things happen. She was always saying, don't just wish for something, work for it. Don't just think that it's just going to come because you want it. No, you got to work for it. Somebody put in the comments, work for it. And you know what we began to do? My mom got married when I was 2 years old to an amazing man. My dad, my stepfather is my dad, actually, and he raised me. And he started a company, which was a mobile detail company. We poured all of that purposeful leadership. We poured all of that personal development into this place. And I remember starting this with my dad in this company at 10 years old. Now, here's the thing. I wanted to be on the couch watching Saturday cartoons. I wanted to watch Power Rangers and, you know, all of the cartoons. I wanted to watch X-Men, you know, but he was like, nope, we got to go do some things. We're going to start a business. We started this business, started this company. And I remember knocking on doors, running away from dogs, just trying to actually earn $200 to $300 per weekend washing people's cars. Well, fast forward 5 years into doing that, my dad and I, people, instead of us knocking on their doors, they began to knock on our doors. And in the way of dealerships and business parks and credit unions and private clients. And it was amazing because I saw this amazing world of personal development and entrepreneurship come together. And I said, you know what? I believe that there's something in there for me. I love people. I love helping people. I love serving people. And I was like, what if I could turn this into something where I'm actually helping people to discover their purpose, helping people to develop their potential and help them dominate in their place of leadership. See, that's what I've been put on this earth to do. And as a result of just doing some hard work, guess what it turned into? it turned into all of this. We've had our own business shows. I've been in amazing talks. I've been on stages. I've mentored thousands of people, helped a whole bunch of people discover what it means to really, truly operating in purpose. And these are some of just the amazing companies that we've been able to serve over the past just 10 years that we've been doing this more formally. And I'm excited about sharing this because today I get to add to the roster Dream Chasers. All right. So if you're ready to dive in, let's dive in. Okay. I have 4 goals for our time together today. Okay. We can't go through everything, but I am going to give you a wonderful snapshot of what it means to truly develop as a purposeful leader. I have 4 goals for our time together. Number 1 is to inform you. I want to give you information that is going to hopefully transform your life. That's why I said write notes, because there's certain things that I will say or certain things that you'll hear that will actually trigger an idea that could change your life. Number 2, I want to inspire you. I want to inspire the fire on the inside of you. I want you to hear something today that says, you know what, I'm going to keep on going. I may be in a fog right now, but I'm going to keep on driving forward because I know that my place of clarity is coming. I want to inspire you. Number 3, I want to impact you. What that means is I want to take what I've given you as information. I want you to take what you've been inspired by, and I want you to do something with it. Somebody put in the comments, do something. I want you to do something with it, okay? I want you to actively put it into action today. I don't want you to wait for tomorrow. I don't want you to wait for perfect conditions. I want you to do it now, okay? And then lastly, I want to invite you to truly live your life at the apex of your purpose. Have you ever read this book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? This book is an oldie but goodie, and I love it because it gives these 7 core habits that every effective person, every leader must really truly abide by if you really want to make some waves. Of course, we can't go through it all, but be proactive, making sure that you have a plan ahead, right? Begin with the end in mind. Know what your exit point is. Put first things first. It talks about priority. Think win-win, especially those of you who are in real estate. Think about how, you can win for your client and how your client can win for you. Seek first to understand, then be understood. This habit right here changed my life. It changed my life because I would go into these networking events, right? And I would, have, a pocket full of business cards. Now, this is when we would, carry around business cards. I don't know if everybody carries around business cards still, but, everybody has like Dot or, Scan or whatever. But I remember going into these networking events and just kind of being a little bit squeamish about like, who can I connect to? When I got this habit, I recognized, man, I need to first be interested than being interesting. I needed to be more interested than interesting. I needed to put the onus on asking people, what do they do? What is it that they are involved in? What business, what line of work are they in? And as a result, that changed my life. I'm talking about it changed my life to the point where I can't even go into it. It's just remarkable. And then synergy, right? Synergizing, really truly taking your strengths and taking others' strengths and putting it together and truly doing something amazing. But today, what I really want to focus in on the habit of is sharpening the saw. As a purposeful leader, you're going to have to get good at sharpening the saw. Abraham Lincoln said this: if you give me 6 hours to cut down a tree, I'll spend the first 4 hours sharpening the saw. Why is that important? He said, the tool that I use is more important than the work that I do. It kind of goes back to something that Jim Rohn used to say: work harder on yourself than you do anything else. I've taken years of my life to really meditate on why I believe that God has placed me on this earth. One of the things that you have to understand is that you are not a product of passion. You are a product of purpose. Put that down. You are not a product of passion. You're a product of purpose, which means that there's a lot of people that's listening to me right now that you feel that, man, maybe you grew up in foster care. Maybe your parents weren't there. Maybe your dad wasn't there. Maybe your mom wasn't there. Maybe your grandparents raised you. Maybe you're an orphan. Maybe you were actually adopted, or maybe you were just kind of, left to raise yourself. And maybe you're like, why am I even here? Well, let me tell you something. There was a very very strategic design of why you are here. And we could go into that a little bit later, but you got to understand you're not the product of your mom or your dad getting together one night, one afternoon, one morning, whenever it was, but you are the product of God's purpose that you've placed here on the earth. Write this down as well, that there was a need in the earth that makes your existence necessary. I'll say that one more time. There was a need in the earth. There was a vacuum. There was a chasm. There's a hole. There was a void in the earth that makes your existence necessary, which means that your life has purpose. Your life has very much significance. Even if you can't even quantify it right now, you have to understand that there is a purpose beyond what you're actually experiencing right now. So if you give me 6 hours to cut down a tree, I'll spend the first 4 hours sharpening the saw. Sharpening the saw deals with personal development. It deals with you getting better at your skills. It deals with you getting better at what you know, that really what I call wet your whistle. It gives you the ability to operate at the highest apex, okay? So 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, you got to go and get it. It's a powerful book, okay? I love what he says within this book. The successful person has the habit of doing things failures don't like to do. They don't like to do them either necessarily, but their disliking is subordinate to the strength of their purpose. Joseph asked the question, why are people, struggling with clarity? Is because most people are not willing to do the work that it requires in order to get to clarity or stay in clarity. There's a lot of people that's like, oh, let me binge watch this new Netflix Love Island or whatever the case is. Let me doom scroll a little bit. Let me see what my competitors are doing. Let me, spend absorbent amount of time, getting ready. No, you just got to do the work. You got to develop the habits so that you can truly move forward in your life and in your purpose. And here's the thing, impact people's lives as a result of you living out your purpose. Okay. Love what F.M. Alexander says. We don't decide our future. We decide our habits, and our habits decide our futures. That right there, we can almost turn off the presentation right now, because that right there is something that'll cut you real good. If you really understand that it's not about you saying, I want to do this in the future. I want to do amazing things. That's great. It's awesome. Now we have to come back and we have to develop the habits so that we can operate as purposeful leaders, those who actually are moving forward in purpose. And so Warren Buffett says this: habits are like chains, too loose to be noticed until they are too tight to break. You and I have to start developing habits of purposeful leaders, okay? So here's what we got to do. We got to continue to learn, because if we don't learn and if we don't develop ourselves, we'll end up like these two companies right here. Now, let me ask you this question. This past weekend, how many of you stood in a line to get into Blockbuster Video? Right? Remember those days back in the day when, the new Nintendo 64 game would come out, or, the new movie would come out, like we'd be ready. We'd be right there. Friday the 13th or Halloween or, Chucky's. I don't know why these horror movies are coming up, but, National Lampoons, all of those different things. We would stand in line waiting for us to actually get an actual video. Well, what happened to these companies? They became obsolete because they did not focus in on their significant purpose. See, I say this, that the day you stop learning and developing is the day that you become irrelevant, obsolete, and unnecessary to your customer, to your organization, and your industry. See, when you stop developing as a purposeful leader, when you stop, you become irrelevant. You get passed up. Kind of like that analogy that I gave you, that when I was going slow, when I was truly just so scared because I'd never been on an actual mountain with fog on it. And I don't know what it is about you Californian people, but you don't put rails on the side. I don't know what that's all about, but I did not want to fall off that mountain. I was scared. I didn't know what to do. So I began to go slow, but most people stop, and most people stop in their development. They stop in their learning. They stop growing. They just go through life as usual. They go through their day as usual. They go just business as usual. And they don't put any onus in it. They don't deepen their knowledge. They don't deepen their relationships. They don't strengthen their purpose. And as a result, they get passed up, just like I was getting passed up. And people were passing me up and they were getting mad because I was going so slow. Imagine all of the people that are waiting on you just to keep moving, because you're leading people in a direction. So the day that you stop is the day that you become obsolete. And Kodak films, how many of us are still developing films with the little with the little rotator, right? Nobody is. It's because these two companies, unfortunately, did not keep developing as purposeful organizations. So what we have here on the other side are two purposeful organizations. Now, I don't want to be political or anything like that. These are just amazing companies that I think are breakthrough, but they're thinking outside of the box. Apple says to make the best products on earth and to leave the world better than we found it is their purpose. Tesla says is to create the most compelling car company of the 21st century by driving the world's transition to electric vehicles. I love these two companies and the vision that they have, because the reality is that they're thinking outside of the box. They're saying, I'm not going to become obsolete. I'm going to continue to push the envelope. I'm going to continue to push development. I know that I can, so I will, and I must develop as a purposeful organization. And it's the same thing with you and I. We have to develop. We cannot stay stagnant. We got to move forward. Okay. So what habits can you adopt to stay on the cutting edge? So many people say, well, what can I do? First is what you can do is to increase your education. Now, this is not sending you back to school. It's not sending you back to a 4-year college or 2-year college, nothing like that. It's about you having a personal and a purposeful mindset that you are going to self-educate yourself, that you're going to deepen your knowledge. See, we learn through repetition. Repetitious information that we listen to really begins to build the core of our belief. And I got to ask you this question. What audios are you listening to? What podcasts are you listening to? What videos are you actually listening to actually deepen your knowledge and scale your skill? Number two, educators. Educators are so important. Educators, what I mean by that, are coaches and mentors, people that can pour into your life, somebody that can tell you exactly what to do and show you their pathway leading forward. Who are those mentors in your life? Who are those coaches in your life that can help you develop your cutting edge? Number three is environments. What environments are you frequenting? Are you always, at the happy hour, or are you at the networking event trying to gain more opportunities to serve others? Where are you at when it comes down to your environments? What environments are you involved in? I love this environment of the dream chasers and all of the wonderful things that the Trujillos are actually building with this amazing brand with Trisha Love and LA Style Magazine and all of the wonderful things that they're doing. These are environments where champions are. You got to get in environments where winners are. If you are the best in your circle, you're in the wrong circle. You've heard that before, right? Here's the last thing. And if you're going to stay on the cutting edge, you're going to have to expose yourself to greater people that are operating on a higher level than you. See, your exposure, it has the most compelling and potent impact on who you believe that you are. Let me just ask you this question. Say, for instance, we're all in an auditorium and, I put a chair in the middle, right? I put a chair in the middle of the actual stage. And I say, hey, this chair, its purpose is to hold the weight of a person in a seated position. And there's a lot of people that come through and they sit on the seat and they get up. A lot of people, they sit on the seat, they get up. You find, okay, repetitiously, they've gotten up. Okay, it's held their position. Then educators, the mentor, I told you, hey man, it's going to hold your position. It's going to do wonderful things for you. The environment already, the stage is already set. People are doing this. You're seeing this happen over and over and over again. But when you get into the chair buckles underneath your weight. Now, what are you going to believe about that chair, right? That it doesn't hold your weight. It could happen for everybody else, but it can't happen for me. See, your exposure, your experience really began to develop you as what you can actually believe for yourself. See, this is why exposure is so potent. I love getting on the yachts with my mentors. I love going into the high rises with my mentors. I love being in the palatial estates of my mentors. Why? Because that exposure and that experience gives me the opportunity to know this is not just for them. This can actually happen for me. And as a purposeful leader, education, educators, environment, and exposure are so potent so that you can stay on the cutting edge of your leadership. So let's talk about leadership really quick. We only got a few more minutes and I'm going to dive into this really, really fast. Let's talk leadership. And I want you to put this in the comments really quick. Okay. A car has over 40,000 parts. Let me ask you this question. Who is the leader? Put down in the comments what you think. Who is the leader? Who's the leader? When you look at all of these parts, who's the leader? You know, whenever I'm in this setting, some people say, well, it's the tires. Some people say it's the oil. Some people say, well, it's the transmission. Some people say, well, it's the spark plug. Some people say, hey, you know what? You can have all of that stuff put together, but if you don't have the battery terminals, guess what? That car's not going anywhere. Some people say, well, if you don't have an actual driver, you know, the car's not going anywhere. Well, I beg to differ because we have self-driving cars now, right? But in 40,000 parts of a car, who's the leader? I always say this: everyone is the leader. Why? Why is that important? It's so important because, listen, if you're the tire, you have to operate at the apex of your capability in that particular position in order for the whole organism, the whole car to work. You in your business, you in your leadership, you in your ministry, you in your family, you in your friendship. You have to operate at the highest level of your purpose so that you can actually help benefit the entire vehicle. Does that make sense? I hope that I'm making sense to you all today. If it makes sense, it makes sense in the comments, okay? 40,000 parts, who's the leader? Everyone is the leader. And if you're thinking about leadership, people ask the question, are leaders born or are they built? Well, I say that leaders are made by decision, and it's a decision to separate. See, decision is two words. It means to separate and it means to make a cut. It means to detach and to make a cut. So you have to detach and make a cut from the places of insecurity. You know, there's a lot of leaders that are insecure leaders. I don't know if you've ever watched the new Mufasa movie, but the reason why Scar became Scar is because he was led by an insecure leader. Inconsistency. When a person is inconsistent, they are not trustworthy. And as a result, they cannot be trusted to lead. And when you're inconsistent, so you have to make a decision to separate yourself from insecurity, inconsistency. Number 3, lack of integrity. Lack of integrity. A lot of leaders want to grow, but their integrity is holding them back. And then incongruence, the incongruence of vision and leadership. Most people want to just be within an organization so that they can, shine and they can grow without regard to actually helping the whole organization shine and grow. They don't even know the vision of the organization. And that's where there's a big disconnect when you are a leader and you're disconnected from the vision of the organization. So here's the last one right here is inflexibility. When you are inflexible as a leader, you cannot operate in purpose. When everything's got to be your way, when everything's got to operate like you want it to operate, I'm telling you, you are on the brink of destruction because your leadership requires for you to be flexible. So here's a couple of things to think about when it comes down to leadership. You have to ask yourself this question: how will I lead? Knowing that habits are very important, knowing that I have to develop myself at a high level, I have to ask myself, how will I lead? Will you lead by default, which means that this is the way that things are done? I'm just going to just kind of wing it. I'm just going to flow with it. I'm just going to go with the flow. Or will you lead by design? Leading by design requires that you get out of your comfort zone. I always say this: your comfort zone is your danger zone. Nothing you will ever build will be built of significance will ever be built in a comfort zone. You have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to think outside of the box so that you can impact your industry, impact your customer in a different way. So you have to ask the question, how will I lead? See, leadership by design has this wonderful connotation to it that You have to build something that has never been. I was talking to a group of young people that were impacted by an organization, and over the years they had grown into young adults, and now they were leaders in that same youth organization that they were serving. And I asked them this question: are you trying to build what was, or are you trying to build what has never been? That's important. It's important because many people are just trying to do the status quo. This is what worked back then, so therefore I'm just going to keep on doing it. You know what that is? That's leadership by default. We're not going to change anything. We're just going to rinse and repeat. We're just going to, copy paste. That's what we're going to do. No, we have to lead by design and build something that has never been done before. Here's the question: where are you playing safe and getting by with default when you could be innovating your leadership by design? Where are you getting by? And all of us know, listen, I'm talking to some brilliant people out here. I know I am. I'm talking to some amazing high earners, seriously high earners. I know that I'm talking to some people that are truly making waves in the marketplace and doing amazing things. But you have to ask yourself, are you playing safe? And if you're playing safe, that means that you're playing by default, not by design. Okay. So let's keep it moving. Okay. Let's talk about purposeful leadership. Purposeful leadership is the capacity to influence others through inspiration, motivated by passion, generated by a vision that is born out of a purpose. See, most people will say that leadership is influence, but leadership is not just influence, because you could be influenced negatively or you could be influenced positively. But purposeful leadership is the capacity to influence others through inspiration. The inspirational part of your life, that you're truly saying that there's a brighter future, there's a better way, there's a more efficient way, there's a greater way for us to do this. You're leading by inspiration. You're showing them that you're motivated by a passion, that there's something about you that just gives people chills when you talk about what you're passionate about, when you talk about your vision. It gives people, it allows people to lean in. And it's generated by a vision of the future, but it's born out of that purpose, of that why you actually exist. So here's 3 questions that ignite purposeful leadership for you today. Number 1, purpose. Why am I here? A lot of people ask the question, Torrian, how do I discover my purpose? I always take them to this golden circle, because I have to get them to understand people know what they do, they know how they do it, but a lot of people don't know why they do it. If I was to ask you, what is it that you do? You say, well, I'm in real estate. Okay, wonderful. How do you do that? Well, I went through the testing, and I got my license, and that, went through some trainings and all those different things, and I just got out there. Okay, but why do you do it? And most people say, well, because it's a great industry. But no. You gotta dive deeper into that why. I was at a Fortune 500 company. I won't name the company because some of those executives may be watching. But I was at this company, and I was doing this personal and purposeful leadership exercise. And there was a gentleman who was about to retire. He had been on staff for about 30 plus years, and he was about to retire. And I asked him the question. I said, well, why have you been here so long? He was like, well, it's a great company. I said, okay, wonderful. Well, why is it important for you to be a part of a great company? He said, well, because, I believe in the values. I said, okay, well, wonderful. Well, let me ask you this question. Why did you choose this company and stay here for so long? He was like, well, it was a great company. It was a great opportunity when I first started. I said, well, why was that important? And by this time, he's getting a little uncomfortable, getting a little red a little bit. And I said, well, why didn't you pick Ralph's or Vaughn's? Why did you pick this grocer, basically? And so he said, well, it's because they were paying the most at the time. I said, well, why was that important? And with tears in his eyes, got beat red. He said, the reason why is because this paid the most money, because my deadbeat dad left me and my mom and my other 2 siblings at home to fend for ourselves. And I had to be the breadwinner. And that's why, with tears streaming down his eyes, he found his purpose. Why? Why are you doing what you do? Why are you actually involved in the company? Why are you leading that organization? Why are you writing the book? Why It has to be a purpose so deep. And a lot of people say this, that if your why doesn't make you cry, it's not deep enough. You probably have heard that before. If your why is not, if it won't make you, if it doesn't bring tears to your eyes. See, what I've come to understand with my own purpose is my purpose. I got so irritated seeing people have amazing talents, amazing gifts, amazing abilities, but they never go anywhere. I discovered that my purpose is to help people discover their purpose, to develop their potential, and to dominate in their place of leadership, to give them the tools, the strategies, the systems, the environments, so they can grow, so they can lead like the leader that they're supposed to be. You have to discover what it is and why it is that you actually do what you do. So you discover your purpose in 3 different ways. Number 1, ask yourself the question, what is it that inspires you? What inspires you about your work or your potential work, or about your client or the problem that you're about to, what inspires you? What pulls on your heartstrings? You know, when you think about a wonderful vision of the future, you know, what is it that inspires you about it? Number 2, what infuriates you? What infuriates you? What is it that absolutely gets underneath your skin? You know, there's this wonderful youth organization called the Boston Movement Program. It's been around for over 40 plus years, and it's helped young people from all over the world come out of gang violence, come out of, low grades, being just kind of kids that just kind of just do whatever they want to do. But they taught them how to be God-confident entrepreneurs and leaders. And I was one of the coaches in this organization for some years, and we graduated over like 300, 400 kids throughout the process when I was a part of it. And I remember hearing the origin story of the Boston Movement Program. It started in Compton here in California. And one of the owner's wife, she said that many times she would be out there on her porch and say, you know what, I see these kids that are skipping school, they're in drugs, the girls are, kind of hot to trot all over the place, and the boys are getting into the gangs, and we see the violence. She said, somebody should do something about that. And she said, when I pointed my finger out, I recognized that there were 3 fingers that are pointing back at me. I needed to do something about it. If there was something that infuriated me, maybe that is an opportunity for me to do something about it. I got to ask you the question, what is it that infuriates you about leaders? What is it that infuriates you about your environment? What is it that infuriates you about the work that you're involved in, the potential work that you're doing, the opportunities that are not afforded to people? What is it that infuriates you? Maybe at the base of that is a purpose. Next, what intimidates you or others? What are some of the things that intimidate you when it comes down to even stepping out? If we were to go biblical for a little bit, there was a whole army that was intimidated by a giant. And there was one champion that came forward. His name was David. You probably know the story. He came, and what intimidated others actually was his platform for purpose. And we know David as a giant killer today. So what is it that inspires you? What infuriates you? What intimidates you? Here's the second question that you have to ask yourself. What can I do? Dr. Miles Monroe is the most famous for asking this question. Where's the wealthiest place on the earth located? He said it's not the diamond mines of South Africa. It's not the oil fields of Saudi Arabia. It's not, Beverly Hills. It's not Rodeo Drive. He actually says it's the cemetery. Why? Because a lot of people have buried books and visions and dreams and businesses and opportunities, and people that could have been amazing leaders are all buried in the cemetery. But because they did not discover their purpose, their gift went to the cemetery. And he always says, don't contribute to the wealth of the cemetery. Here's the last thing. Where am I going? If you're going to discover yourself as a purposeful leader, you have to have a vision beyond where you are. Going back to that first analogy that I gave you, I knew that I was going to the top of Idlewild. I knew that I was going to go see my mentor, but there were some obstacles in between me and him. But I had to keep on going because there was a vision that was compelling me. There was a vision that was pulling me. And you got to get and craft a vision that pulls you out of where you are and pulls you into the future reality of who you are. People ask the question all the time, Torrian, who are your mentors? Who are the people that, you look up to? And, I always share with them that one very, very wise man told me this years ago. He said, son, you have to become who you are looking for. And so over the years, I've crafted this amazing vision of who Torrian Scott is at 50 years old and what he's driving, what he does, how much he earns, what his body looks like, what his relationships look like, what his network looks like, what his portfolio looks like. And I have that vision of the future and the people that I impact. And that pulls me out of where I am to where I want to be. It pulls me out of bed to get to the gym. It pulls me out of mediocrity so that I can study and be in mastery. It pulls me out of complaining and looking at other people and comparing myself to truly concentrating on the purpose that God has given me. I got to have a vision beyond where I am if you're going to be a purposeful leader. So purposeful leadership is about living out your purpose. And it's about operating according to your strengths that you've developed over time to influence teams or people or clients towards a vision of the future. Get out of your comfort zone. You got to move forward. Okay. Here's the last thing that I'm going to share with you, and then I'll pass it back over to Joseph. But Maxwell says this: everything falls and rises, or rises and falls on leadership. So what level of leader are you? Let's just kind of take a poll real quick. What level of leader are you? In his book, The 5 Levels of Leadership, he talks about a few different levels. He talks about position, which is the lowest level of leadership. And basically people who have positional leadership, they lead based off of rights because, people follow you because they have to. That's because somebody got a promotion. So now that person is the boss. So now everybody has to follow. That's the lowest level of leadership. Second level of leadership is permission. That's where you're starting to build relationships. That's where you're starting to get to know people. That's where you're starting to get into the hearts and the minds of being more interested than interesting, right? You start thinking about, how can I help a person win? Number 3, then it's about production. It's about results. People follow you because of what you've done, because of what you produced and how you produce. People follow you that way. All of us follow Instagram superstars, people who have the boulder shoulders and the abs and all those different things, because why? They have the results that we're looking for. Number 4, people development. This is so powerful. When you get into the place where you're starting to develop people, where you can get this young person. And I love helping young people discover their purpose early. When you get this young person who says, man, I know I have a dream, I know I have a vision, but I just don't know how to get there. And you start developing them. You start giving them the right mindset. You start giving them the right heart set. You start seeing them develop over years. And all of a sudden you look back 10 years, 5 years from now, and like, wow, this person has grown into somebody so amazing. People development. Are you developing people around you? Or are you just the allness and the muchness? Who are you mentoring? Who are you coaching? If you want to be coached, that's wonderful. But who are you coaching? Who are you bringing along the lines of success with you? And then there's pinnacle. The pinnacle is, of course, people follow you because of the respect that they have for you, right? Like Trisha and like Joseph. We follow them. They have all of these wonderful, amazing characteristics of being a leader. And we have position. They have the position. They have our permission. They have production. They have people development. That's what we're doing right now. And they have the respect. See, what I've learned is that if you're going to develop as a purposeful leader, spend your time in 2, 3, and 4. Because when you start building relationships and you start producing results and you start reproducing yourself and you start reproducing people, you automatically start getting results. You start getting the respect from your industry and from those who you actually are inspiring around you. But you know what I found is that the foundation of this is purpose. You have to have a purpose. You have to have a purpose in your position. You have to have a purpose in your permission. You have to have a purpose in your production, in your people development, and in your pinnacle. You have to have a purpose. Purpose is the foundation of it all. So here's where I want to pretty much leave you today. If you're going to be a leader, you have to be careful that you don't kill your leadership with these habits. Okay? Can't kill yourself with the habit of being inflexible. being incongruent, being incoherent, if you will. But you have to develop your purposeful leadership skills to develop within yourself and within your team of these 7 key things. Number 1, you have to build your capacity, the ability to do your job and do it well. Number 2, you have to build your competence. You have to be more believable, the ability to move from novice to mastery. You got to build your competence. Number 3, you have to build your charisma. You have to inspire and influence others towards a vision. Number 4, you have to be consistent. The reason why we know, I don't know about you, I am a Golden State Warriors fan. And really, I am actually a Steph Curry fan. The reason why they could put Steph Curry in with 2 minutes left on the clock and they're down 20 points is because the man is consistent. He can shoot the basketball from across the street and make it, okay? Consistency. Do you solidly perform consistently? Number 5, creativity. You got to be creative. Find yourself in a place of creativity. I always say tranquility breeds creativity. If you find yourself just in the fog of everything, get to a place of tranquility. Go on a walk, go on a hike, sit alone on a park bench, sit in the sun or whatever, but get alone, get tranquil. And I guarantee you creative ideas are going to come. Number 6, chemistry. Chemistry. You got to get chemistry with those you serve and the organizations that you serve. And then lastly is character. Character. Develop your character to be authentic in private and in public. This is how you strengthen yourself as a purposeful leader. This is how you master the keys or master the skills of being a purposeful leader, by developing your purpose, by developing your potential, by dominating in your place of leadership, by getting in the weeds with yourself and creating habits that are going to move you from novice to mastery, to start working on yourself harder than anything else. You are your best do-it-yourself project. This does not have to be in this level of success. And I don't care how successful you are. I don't care how much money you have in the bank. There's always another level. So I want to encourage you. I want to thank you so very much for allowing me to share with you. We do have an opportunity for you to connect a little bit further. There's something that I'm putting on the 26th called the forgiveness formula. You would be amazed at how many leaders are operating in unforgiveness. I always share this, and many people think like unforgiveness is only for church people. No, forgiveness is for everyone. There's a gentleman who literally was holding on to resentment for his father for years upon years upon years. The year that he forgave his father, he tripled his income. There's another client that I have, that the time that they forgave their childhood trauma that they went through is the year that they actually lost all of the weight. So in this book that we just wrote called Faith, Business, and Friendships, or Faith, Friendships, and Business, it's an Amazon bestseller. I have a chapter in there called I Forgive You, but I Still Have Trauma. I'm going to take you through the forgiveness formula that's helped so many clients and even myself to overcome forgiveness so that you can continue to dominate as a purposeful leader. Thank you so very much for allowing me to share. Joseph, back over to you, my friend. I appreciate you for allowing me to share this morning.
Man, my brother, let's take a minute here to just kind of just breathe all that in, right? Let's just breathe all of that wisdom in. I took my socks off. I mean, here in the studio, bro, because I was on fire. I was on fire. But no, personally, Torrian, as first of all, I didn't know you were going to drop your 7 C's, right? Yeah. And that number 5 is my favorite, man. I love the creativity part. I've been diving real heavy into that. I'm like, man, if I'm gonna mirror myself, I'm gonna mirror myself after God in Genesis, right? And start with some creativity.
Yes, sir.
So good. Now, and again, like I know you guys are taking away, right? So much wisdom in the comments, hand claps. We had comments on Instagram. So many people are pulling needs to be able to realign and refocus a lot of what you shared, my brother. So I do have a couple follow-up questions. Okay. Somebody on Instagram had asked about what are your thoughts about social purpose?
Absolutely. Yeah. Social purpose is awesome. It's a collective. That's kind of like the synergy, right? You all are bringing your gifts and your talents together. Like, for instance, okay, so I'm an 80s baby, okay? So in the beginning, in the 90s, like, I love seeing the We Are the World video. You remember that? We are
Yeah.
the world. We are,
Yeah.
like, all of your favorite, like, you had Michael Jackson, you had Lionel Richie, you had, Cyndi Lauper, you had all of these different people coming together, bringing their gifts and their talents and creating a sound that absolutely transform people's hearts and their lives. And so I think that it's the same thing. Yeah, when you bring your purpose, that social purpose is so dynamic, it's so powerful, because it's not just depending upon one people, it's depending upon all of the people that are involved. So yes, it's a wonderful thing.
So good, bro. So good. That was a really powerful question that I had me thinking behind the scenes, and just to create a little vulnerability with the audience.
Mhm.
And this is I'm gonna have a follow-up question to this, Torian, is even me personally, I've had to redevelop my process on purpose,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
initially in entrepreneurship, my purpose was very self-absorbed, right? It was, what could I get from efforts A, B, and
Yeah.
C?
Yep.
And I failed to negate the power, right? The power of finding people to serve, right? To
Yes.
provide value to them, so then my purpose is more fulfilling. Does that make sense? Could you elaborate
100.
on
Oh yeah, absolutely. You have to have a purpose beyond profits, because entrepreneurs, we're talking to entrepreneurs, right? People that are creating something out of nothing. You have to have a purpose beyond profits, because profits sometimes don't come until some years later. So you need purpose to actually help you to power through those lean times, those feast and famine moments, those cycles that we go through. And you have to remind yourself of the purpose of why you got started. We moved here to California 14 years ago with a suitcase, a stroller, and a car seat. And we went through some stuff, man. We went through a lot of things. There was a time where we were living in the Motel 6. There's a time where, I mean, me and my wife, my oldest son, my other two weren't born yet, but we didn't even know that my wife was pregnant, but we had come out here because we believed that God told us to come to California. We sold our 4,000 square foot house in Houston, Texas. Didn't make any money on it. But we ended up, staying with somebody that we met out here. And it was amazing for 2 weeks. And then the reality is that the bottom fell out. My biological father was murdered, and I had to go back to Houston, do the funeral. And the lady that we were staying with, she called us while we were out in Houston and said, "Hey, I can't stay. You guys can't stay here anymore. You're going to find somewhere else to stay." And I'm like, "Well, I'm supposed to have an interview this weekend at this amazing church. And how am I going to do that?" And that's when, they were like, "Hey, we'll put you in the Motel 6 for the weekend. And, if you audition right, and if you do the things right, you'll maybe get the job, but there is the possibility that you don't get the job." The thing that powered me through that is that I knew that God told me to come to California. I knew that this is where I was supposed to be. I knew that, and that was that innate purpose that powered me through those issues. And here we are today, 14 years later. Of course, we're not living in the Motel 6 anymore. We got our nice house and all of those great things. Kids are in private school. I mean, our life is beautiful, but it's only because we stuck with the purpose. You cannot allow profit to push you into an opportunity. You have to do it with purpose.
So good, brother. So good. That's a whole other class right there,
It
man.
is. It's a whole different class.
A whole other class, but man, I applaud your obedience, brother, to that word that you got, and just to have you here on this class with us. I know you and I have had some divine encounters and stuff like that,
Yes,
and some separate levels of separate. What do they say? You're 6 levels of separated from everybody, and is it 5 or 6?
Mm-hmm. It's 6. Well,
Okay,
I mean, now it really is only really 1 now.
exactly.
Everybody's connected. Yeah.
Yes, 100%, 100%. Well, for everybody that tuned in, right? I know you guys found value today. I got two extra steps for this last minute on the call. One, so we are in collaboration with Torrian. We're offering actually a free PDF called the Forgiveness Formula. The Forgiveness Formula. If you need this PDF, drop your email, throw an emoji in any of the social chats. Our team is going to reach out to you, so then we can make sure that that PDF is delivered to you It is a guide that is going to put you into immediate action and get you in connection with our brother Torrian here. And then number 2, these masterclass series, team. For those of you that keep coming back week after week after week after week, Torrian Scott is one exemplary example of the type, the skill set, the leadership and knowledge that we're delivering. And we're giving this away, guys. This is free stuff here. This is free knowledge, free building. So it lit you guys on fire. Don't stop here. Make sure you guys join for the next masterclass series. Power pack sessions coming together just to take you guys on deep purpose, mindset, mastery in your business and your life. And finally, Torrian, brother, how can the audience stay in connection with you? Do you prefer that they connect with you on social media? And if so, what's your social handle or a connection point?
Absolutely. You definitely can connect with me on Instagram, official Torrian Scott. I'm on LinkedIn as well. Just spell my name out, Torrian Scott. I'm the only one on there. And then also Facebook is Torrian Scott as well. And then, of course, go to my website. More tools, more things, torrianscott.com. Very simple for you. I would love to continue the conversation with you and help you grow in purpose.
Outstanding. Well, on behalf of my wife, LA Style Magazine, Dream Chasers, and all these other verticals, we want to thank you guys for showing up today. This didn't happen by accident. It happens when you say yes to growth and you show up. Go live this out, guys. We'll see you on the next masterclass. Stay blessed. Stay true. We'll see you guys on the next one.
See you guys.